Welcome to the Erudite News Hour, MTM TV's news magazine. I am Kerika McGregor-Clue. Coming up in the news, religious leaders push back against Canada's conversion therapy ban. The Jamaican government urges its citizens in Ukraine to make travel arrangements now. Give, Send, Go plans to ignore Ontario's attempted interference and pay the truckers anyway. Macron refused the Russian COVID test in Putin trip over DNA theft fears. Pressure on Italian Catholic Church to face child sexual abuse reckoning. Students in Steinbach, Manitoba, walked out of high school to oppose mask mandates and restrictions. We go right now for a short break, but stay tuned. The news when we return. Welcome back. Thousands of Christian leaders in the US and Canada criticized the language of new Canadian legislation banning LGBTQ plus conversion therapy in their sermons on Sunday, alleging the law's broad scope and vague phrasing could lead to the criminalization of even private conversations related to sexuality. In a campaign led by Liberty Coalition Canada, more than 4,000 Christian pastors Sunday said they would be willing to protest against Bill C-4, which makes practicing, promoting, or profiting from conversion therapy a criminal offense in Canada. Ultimately, the dissenters, the ones who will not cave in, are going to be those who are faithful to the Bible. John MacArthur, an American pastor who headed the bill's protest in the US, told Fox News on Monday. The ban took effect on January 8 after receiving royal assent in early December. Violations can carry a prison sentence of up to 5 years. It's official. Our government's legislation banning the despicable and degrading practice of conversion therapy has received royal assent, meaning it is now law. LGBTQ plus Canadians will always stand up for you and your rights, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau tweeted in December, shortly after the legislation was approved. American evangelist Franklin Graham said Canadian pastors feel they have been stripped of their religious freedoms. Critics of Bill C-4 say it is broadly worded and could even encompass private conversations about the topic, such as when a pastor or any Christian shares what the Bible teaches about sexuality, he wrote. Meanwhile, the Foreign Affairs Ministry has released a new advisory urging students in the tension-hit Ukraine to make arrangements to travel quickly if circumstances change. Several countries today issued advisories encouraging their nationals to leave as tensions with Russia intensify. Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith said Jamaican students in Ukraine should check on flight availability and ensure that their Jamaican travel documents are in order. Our embassy in Berlin remains available for consultations on individual emergency needs and concerns, she said. According to the minister, students are concerned about their studies as the semester restarted on Monday, February 7. We have continued to make inquiries as to the provisions that may be made by universities for students who may need to leave due to circumstances beyond their control, she said. Johnson-Smith said the university at which most of the Jamaican students are registered reported that there is a calm continuation of education, but as circumstances change, the students will be notified of any adjustments in timetable and modality of study. The minister said she has noted that an increasing number of countries have issued advisories encouraging their nationals to leave Ukraine by commercial or private means before further escalation of tension. She also said the Jamaican government continues to engage with its partners to ensure it has the clearest facts and is aware of the rapidly changing circumstances in the region. And in other news, Christian crowdfunding website, which is hosting the crowdfund for the Freedom Convoy truck drivers, says that it will not be following the orders of the Ontario court to freeze the crowdfund and stop the transfer of funds to the protesters. The statement comes hours after Doug Ford and the Ontario provincial government moved to freeze the funds of the Freedom Convoy, which was issued by the court for crowdfunding website Give Send Go to stop the transfer of donations to organizers of the protest movement. In a statement on social media, Give Send Go wrote, "Know this, Canada has absolutely zero jurisdiction over how we manage our funds here at Give Send Go. All funds for every campaign on Give Send Go flow directly to the recipients of those campaigns, not least of which is the Freedom Convoy campaign," the company stated. As previously detailed, the Ford government took legal action to freeze the funds, which was followed by a ruling by the Ontario Superior Court. According to a statement, today the Attorney General brought an application in the Superior Court of Justice for an order pursuant to Section 490.8 of the Criminal Code prohibiting any person from disposing of or otherwise dealing with in any manner whatsoever any and all monetary donations made through the Freedom Convoy 2022 and adopt a trucker campaign page on the Give Send Go online fundraising platforms. This afternoon, the order was issued. It binds any and all parties with possession or control over these donations. We go now for a short break. More in the news when we return. Continuing in the news, French President Emmanuel Macron refused a Kremlin request that he take a Russian COVID-19 test when he arrived to see President Vladimir Putin this week to prevent Russia getting hold of Macron's DNA. As a result, the visiting French head of state was kept at a distance from the Russian leader during lengthy talks on the Ukraine crisis in Moscow. They were photographed at opposite ends of a table so long that it provoked satirical comment on social media and speculation, including by diplomats, that Putin might be using it to send a message. But two sources who have knowledge of the French president's health protocol said that Macron had been given a choice: either accept a PCR test done by the Russian authorities and be allowed to get close to Putin, or refuse and have to abide by more stringent social distancing. We knew very well that meant no handshake and that long table. But we could not accept that they got their hands on the president's DNA, one of these sources said, referring to security concerns if the French leader was tested by Russian doctors. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "There is no politics in this. It does not interfere with negotiations in any way." A second source in Macron's entourage said he instead took a French PCR test before departure and an antigen test done by his own doctor in Russia. Macron's office said the Russian health protocol did not seem to us to be either acceptable or compatible with our diary constraints, referring to the length of time that would have been required to wait for the results. When asked specifically about DNA theft, Macron's office said, The president has doctors who define with him the rules that are acceptable or not in terms of his own health protocol. Moreover, pressure is mounting on Italy's Catholic Church to face a reckoning on child sexual abuse amid unofficial estimates that the country could have the highest number of victims of pedophile priests in the world. Their appeal has been given impetus by the publication of independent reports in France and Germany, where the former Pope Benedict was criticized for allegedly failing to take action against 4 priests accused of child sexual abuse when he was Archbishop of Munich between 1977 and 1982. Benedict this week apologized for grievous faults in his handling of those sexual abuse cases, but his legal team denied any personal wrongdoing, provoking fury from victims. There are no official figures on the number of clerical abuse victims in Italy, but the Main Victims Association Rete Labuso has recorded 360 cases of priests accused or convicted over the last 15 years. A treaty between the Italian government and the Vatican means that the majority of child abuse investigations in Italy are carried out behind a wall of secrecy within the Holy See's jurisdiction. If found guilty by a Vatican court, most priests end up being transferred to a new diocese rather than being defrocked or jailed. And if found guilty by an Italian court, few are actually imprisoned. The Vatican court has been contacted for comment. And finally, dozens of students and Steinbach residents protested pandemic restrictions outside a Steinbach high school throughout the day, forcing it to go into hold and secure protocol. The Anova School Division said Thursday that Steinbach Regional Secondary School
Sorry, you said that too fast.
Okay. The Hanover School Division said Thursday that Steinbach Regional Secondary School was placed in hold and secure for the day due to the protest outside. The sound of horns filled the parking lot as dozens of students took part in the protest. We want the mandates dropped and we want freedom. We want to go back to being normal human beings, said Layla, a student at the school who was among those protesting. I was looking forward to playing soccer my senior year, said Nick, a senior at Steinbach Regional Secondary School who was protesting. I wasn't able to play because of the vaccine, and it is heartbreaking because it is my last year of school and I don't get to play. In a statement, Hanover School Division Interim Superintendent and CEO Shelley Amos said parents, caregivers, and students have differing opinions on COVID-19 measures in schools, but said Thursday's protest created an unsafe environment and disrupted learning. Protesters were on school property and made efforts to enter the school building, Amos said. The school was placed into hold and secure to ensure the safety of our students and staff. Steinbach, our CMP, provided assistance and support to the school administration. We respect the right to protest, but urge all protesters to be respectful, peaceful, and remain off school property during demonstrations. RCMP said no arrests were made and no tickets were handed out at the protest. Now to end the news, here are the main points. Religious leaders push back against Canada's conversion therapy ban. The Jamaican government urges its citizens in Ukraine to make travel arrangements now. Give, Send, Go plans to ignore Ontario's attempted interference and pay the truckers anyway. Macron refused a Russian COVID test in Putin trip over DNA theft fears. pressure on Italian Catholic Church to face child sexual abuse reckoning. Students in Steinbach, Manitoba walked out of high school to oppose mask mandates and restrictions. Stay tuned with us. Coming up, it's Miss Jenny Campbell with our news commentary and Dr. David Carr with the health and wellness segment.
I will say this until the day that I die, reminding myself as I do when I am quietly alone and I look myself in the mirror and say, girl, who's your daddy? You know what I tell myself? I tell myself, he is the first and the last, the beginning and the end. He's the keeper of creation and the creator of all. He's the architect of the universe and the manager of all time. He always was, always is, always will be, unmoved, unchanged, undefeated, and never undone.
Good evening. I'm Jenny Campbell. Welcome to this week's news commentary. 1 year ago, British national Kathleen Stock resigned from her post as Professor of Philosophy at a London-based university following a relentless 3-year campaign of bullying, harassment, and character assassination. Students at the university, outside activists, and even some of her own colleagues had accused the 48-year-old of transphobia and agitated for her to be fired. In a nutshell, she argued that children must not be given transgender surgery or be medicated in anticipation of sex change. Stock argued further that one's gender cannot be reassigned, as male and female are designed with specific traits that cannot be adjusted even after sex change operations. The transgender community in the UK was angered by the audacity of Stock and pressured her departure. Globally, the pressures from the transgender and general LGBTQ+ communities against the natural God designation of male and female has been quite phenomenal. In the news earlier, Canada has now passed a law criminalizing Christians who practice what is loosely called conversion therapy. Christians who engage in the treatment of homosexual issues through conversion, through deliverance, and to a life of godliness and healing are being forced to cease and desist. The illogic of this move is beyond comprehension. According to world standards, one's physical gender, which is a fixed phenomenon, may be reassigned, but a misconception of your fixed gender and sexual orientation cannot be changed. It is an idea locked in a view that reality is only what you can see with the naked eyes. But as people of God, we know that we wrestle against spiritualities and principalities in high and diverse places, not against flesh and blood. In Genesis 1:26-28, it reads, "And God said, let us make man in our own image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." 27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And he did not make any mistake. So, any effort by anyone or any country to change the order set by God himself is a declaration of war against God the Almighty, and it will not end well. Let me tell Canada and other countries, it will not end well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I pray that it was a blessing. See you next week.
Welcome to another Health and Wellness segment. Hi, I'm Dr. David Carr. Alcohol use is very common in different social settings around Jamaica and the world. Now, alcohol triggers your brain to release the reward system chemical dopamine. Now, this leads your brain to link positive feelings with drinking and motivates you to crave more. It also affects serotonin, which plays a role in things like mood and sleep, according to studies. Now, as you drink more, addiction takes hold, and you will experience less pleasure, develop tolerance, and you may have withdrawal symptoms when you try to stop drinking. Now, heavy drinkers will begin to drink even more in an attempt to keep withdrawal at bay. This can lead to alcohol use disorder. Now, alcohol use disorder can cause major health issues, alienate you from your family, and interfere with your work. Now, fortunately, early treatment can help you and your loved ones to avoid more unfortunate consequences of this condition. Now, consumed in excess, alcohol is poisonous and is considered a drug. Many persons die each year as a result of alcohol abuse, and alcohol is a factor in homicides, suicides, and traffic accidents. Alcohol abuse also plays a role in many social and domestic problems, being absent from work, crimes against property, to spousal and child abuse. Now, the immediate physical effects of drinking alcohol range from mild mood changes to complete loss of coordination, vision, balance, and speech, any of which can lead to signs of acute alcohol intoxication or drunkenness. These effects usually wear off in a matter of hours after a person stops drinking. However, larger amounts of blood alcohol can impair brain function and eventually cause unconsciousness. An extreme overdose can cause alcohol poisoning, and that can be fatal. Though alcohol use disorder is a potential fatal disease characterized by cravings, tolerance, which is needing more, physical dependence, and loss of control over consuming alcohol. Now, the most common effect is damage to your liver, which can over time lead to cirrhosis, which is a scarred liver. The other risks include depression, chronic gastritis that leads to stomach bleeds, pancreatitis, high blood pressure, heart failure, numbness and tingling in your feet, and changes in your brain. Now, alcoholism can also increase your risk of infections like pneumonia and tuberculosis. Now, alcoholism can also lead to impotence in men, damage to the fetus in pregnant women, and an elevated risk of cancer of the larynx, esophagus, liver, breast, stomach, pancreas, and upper gastrointestinal tract. Now, because heavy drinkers do not have adequate diets, you find that they have nutritional deficiencies as well. Now, heavy drinkers typically have impaired liver function, and up to 1 in 5 develop cirrhosis. Now, who is at higher risk of alcoholism? Now, these risk factors can make you more likely to become addicted to alcohol. Now, if you have a family history, if you start drinking before you're 15 years old, you may be 4 times likely to develop alcohol dependence later in life, according to studies. According to studies, drinking alcohol too often or binge drinking can lead to addiction. Now, mental health conditions like depression or bipolar can put you at risk, and also traumatic experiences in your childhood. Now, men are more likely than women to become addicted to alcohol, and other social factors, which include social and family customs, culture, poor parental support, peer pressure, can all play roles in alcohol addiction. Now, it's important to know when to get help. Treatments for alcohol dependency can include a combination of in-treatment programs, inpatient programs, behavioral therapies, medications, and social support. Now, remember to always talk to your doctor if you're struggling with alcohol addiction. You can get the help that you need. Now, thank you for joining me for another Health and Wellness segment as we continue on the journey of obtaining, maintaining, and restoring good health. Please see my contact information on your screen, and remember to follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Dr. David Carr, and on Facebook at Dr. David S. Carr. Send any questions you may have to my email address at drdavidscar@gmail.com. Join us next time, and remember, God desires us to be prosperous and to be in good health, even as our souls prosper. Now stay tuned. Coming up next is Alicia with personal development trends and Camila with lifestyle and entertainment.
Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come.
I'm Alicia, and welcome to Personal Development Trends, where we encourage you to passionately and persistently pursue your purpose. This week, we'll be talking about confidence, and what are some of the strategies to build your confidence? Confidence is a state of mind, and though it may mean different things to different people, it simply means to have faith in yourself. Self-confidence also brings about more happiness. Typically, when you are confident in your abilities, you are happier due to your successes. The more you are feeling better about your capabilities, the more energized and motivated you are to take action and achieve your goals. There's one incredible trick that can help you to figure out how to be confident even when you're at your absolute lowest. Thinking about something you're proud of? Maybe you did something impressive at work, or you recently helped a family member. It can be as humble as helping someone lift a box, or as intricate as solving a complex problem on an important project. Whatever it is, it's something you did, and it's worth celebrating. Recognizing this accomplishment and your ability to do it will instantly elevate your mood and allow you to channel self-confidence. What are some of the strategies for learning to build your confidence? Number one, accept your emotions. When you're learning how to be more confident, it's tempting to focus on your ideal self. You know, that person you wish you were, a superhero who never experiences fear, doubt, or shame. While managing negative emotions is certainly part of building confidence, shutting down your feelings does not help. The first step to mastering your emotions is actually to let yourself feel them. Number two, reevaluate your blueprint. Everyone has a blueprint for their life. We want a certain career, a certain family, and certain possessions, and we think we must have them on a certain timeline. When we don't get these things, it's our greatest source of pain. But what if we could let go of this need for control and be grateful instead? When you're focused on retaining a sense of control in your life, it actually reduces your confidence. Nothing in life is truly within our control. By letting go, you're able to accept circumstances as is, which is a powerful component of learning how to build confidence. Number three, practice positive thinking. Feeling confident starts from within with positive thinking. When you're building confidence, learn how to reframe your mindset to start thinking more positively, and you feel more self-assured as a result. First, examine your limiting beliefs, which is the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are. Are you nervous in social settings because you've always told yourself that you're shy? Do you tell yourself you could never be brave enough to do public speaking? These beliefs are only holding you back from a life of confidence. And the final one is to self-affirm daily. Before you leave home in the morning, go in front of the mirror and self-affirm. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am a success at what I will do today. I am a conqueror. Affirmations have the power to push you to act a certain way and allows you to change your negative thinking patterns. So let's do a self-confidence check. Do you do what you believe is right, even though it's unpopular? Are you willing to take a risk? Do you admit your mistakes and learn from them? Do you accept compliments, or are you looking around to see if someone else is in the room? Are you an optimistic person? Ask yourself these questions and check your confidence level. So we want to thank you for joining us this week. We hope that you found the information to be quite valuable. For more personal development trends and insight, feel free to visit my website at millionhairbeauty.com, where you will also learn more about our outreach arm, The Beauty of Growth. It is a personal development initiative for the nation's youth. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
to this week's lifestyle and entertainment segment. I am Camelia Kelly. Comedian Heather McDonald collapses and fractures her skull during a set in Tempe, Arizona. The star was set to perform back-to-back shows when she collapsed after making a blasphemous joke.
But I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes! Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
The 51-year-old star took to her Instagram story on the night of February 5 to address her fans from the hospital. "So, I'm in the emergency room. I look weird," she began. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." She then explained that she passed out on stage. "I got up, I did one joke, and I felt so dizzy," McDonald recalled. "You can see my eye. I fell on my eye. Oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. I feel so terrible that this had..." "So, I'm in the emergency room. I look weird," she began. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." She then explained that she passed out on stage. "I got up, I did one joke, and I felt so dizzy," McDonald recalled. "You can see my eye. I fell on my eye. Oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. I feel so terrible that they had to tell everyone to leave and then cancel the second show." The star insisted she'll return to Tempe in the future. "I've never ever fainted in my life," she said. The star's reps told Phoenix's NBC outlet that she may have lost consciousness because of dehydration and suffered a skull fracture from the fall. The comedian told news reporters that her sister-in-law, who was in the audience, took her to the hospital, where she underwent various tests, including a CT scan. However, the reason for the star's collapse and subsequent hospitalization remains unclear. Now, many thought the collapse was a part of an act. Her response to this was, "I didn't do it for publicity. I would not give up practically 2 sold-out shows with meet and greets and send people home for publicity. I would not hit my head like that, and definitely I was not drunk." Clearly, God is sending a message that we are not to blaspheme his name. If you have your events you'd want us to air here on MTM TV, you can send us an email at mtmtv.admin@gmail.com and we'll show it to the world. That's it for this week's segment on lifestyle and entertainment. Thank you for joining us. Back to you, Kerika, at the news desk.
Thank you for tuning in with us for this week's episode of the Erudite News Hour, MTM TV's news magazine. On behalf of all of us here at MTM TV, have a great evening.